Hi, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we're gardening here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. It is seed starting time here in Zone 7 and in lots of other places too. And a lot of us have our seedlings growing under lights right now. Watering can be one of the tricky parts of keeping your seeds under lights. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that you can set up your seedlings under grow lights with a self-watering system. Come along, let's take a look. Keeping your seeds appropriately moist under the lights is really important. You don't want them to dry out, but you also don't want them to be soaking wet. So it makes a lot of sense to try to set up a self-watering system. This prevents overwatering. The plants get exactly the amount of water they need. And it also prevents drying out if you happen to miss a session of your watering schedule. There's a great company full of wonderful garden products. It's called Gardener's Supply Company, and you can find them at gardeners.com. And they sell a kit that is a self-watering seed starting kit. And that's what I have tried out in my seed starting efforts this year. I bought 4 of the kits this year and I've got all of them in the works right now. Here is one of them. Now, this kit comes with several components. I don't have all the components here because this one's already underway. But it's got a bottom reservoir tray that is where you hold the water. Underneath that, you have a support structure that looks like this. It's kind of a scaffolding system. You put that down in the tray. And then on top of that, you have this special mat material. This is called Capillary Mat, or from the UK, Capillary Mat. I'm American, so I'm going to call it Capillary Mat. And so what you do is you put this structure down inside the tray, and then you wet this mat and you put it on top. You fill that tray with water, and the water comes up the side of this mat and spreads across the mat. And then you set your seed tray right on top of that. And the water in the mat soaks up through the holes in the bottom of the tray, and it waters your seedlings from below. You can see that all of these cells are really nice and moist. Wonderful amounts of water in there, but none of them are too wet. They're all doing really, really well. So here's a look inside this tray. We have the capillary mat here. It is wet. I don't know if you can see that it's got water kind of ringing through it. And then underneath that is the scaffolding system and a reservoir of water. So the tray sits on top of that, like that. And then the water soaks up. This end of the mat is down in the water. It soaks up onto there and goes across the mat and then up into the cells. This kit from Gardener Supply is called Grow Ease Seed Starter Kit. And I do recommend it. I'm having a lot of luck with it and I really like it. I like that it all comes in one kit. It has all the materials you need. I think it costs $16.99 for the 24 cell version. You can also get a 12 cell version that is, I think, $8, $9, something like that, less expensive for 12 seed cells. The kit also comes with a plastic dome that you put over the top and use it as a humidity dome while the seeds are germinating, but I don't need them anymore since these seeds have already sprouted. So the thing is that, one, not all of us have access to gardeners.com. If you live overseas, I don't know if you can mail order from there. And also, maybe there's a couple of downfalls with this system. And the biggest one that I see is that this tray is not modular. You have to have all 24 of these cells all hooked together all the time. So you really do need to have seeds in this tray that are either all the same variety or seeds that require the same amount of light and that germinate approximately at the same time as each other. If you want to have a smaller seed pack, like this 9-pack here, or the 6-packs or any other seed tray size that are more modular, and you just, you put your seeds in here and you plop them out one at a time and move them to the lights one at a time, then you might not want to use this Grow Ease system. Also, I'm not sure about the cost of the Grow Ease system compared to an ability to put together the thing on your own. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about a few ways that you can put together your own self-watering system without buying this kit. I do recommend the kit, but there are some downsides to it. So we're gonna talk about options. So I have a lot of these trays, and I would like to set up a self-watering seed system in this tray. So what I need is a reservoir to hold water. I need something to hold the capillary mat up out of the water with one end dangling down into the water to grab the water. And then I need that support to hold the mat to also be stable enough to hold the seed cells on top. For the capillary mat, I went online and I did a search, and there are a few different websites that you can buy this material from. But I ended up going back to gardeners.com, garden supply company, and I bought a roll of 3 yards of capillary material. So now I have my tray, I have my mat. I need something to hold the mat up out of the water. I'm all about using what you have. So I was looking around my house and I came up with a few ideas to consider. So the first thing I found was my baking racks. These two they just barely don't fit in there. The sides of the tray get pushed out if I want those to go all the way down. In a pinch, oh look, wait. Yeah, that could work. I think I want my support structure to be higher out of the water. And the reason is I want to be able to fill up the reservoir pretty full and leave it for a couple of days and know that the seedlings are going to be fine. I think just a ½ inch of water is only going to buy me like 1 day of skipping. So I'm actually not going to use these, but I do have another style of baking rack. And that's this kind. And this fits really nicely inside this tray. See that? I could set it down in here like that. That's one option. Or I could stand it up like this. That would be another option. Now the downside of this is that actually it doesn't fill the whole length of the tray. I've got room on either end that doesn't have any support. So I would only be able to put as many cells on top of this as there is room on this baking tray. But this is a really good option for a DIY thing. So then what I would do is I would cut this capillary mat to fit, and I would lay it on there, and I would make sure that it's long enough that one end of it hangs down into the water so that it can draw the water up. It needs to really touch the bottom of the container. So that's one option. I was rummaging around my garage and I found this kind of tray. This is the kind of tray that I often bring home a whole tray full of annuals in. And it doesn't, of course, it's not watertight. But if I were to set this in there like that, it solves half my problem because it does give me a support structure for the mat, and it holds it up out of the water by about 1 inch. But there's no place for the mat to actually go down off the edge and touch the side. So if I wanted to use this as a structure, I would need to cut off one of these ends and make it a little bit shorter so that the mat could go over the edge of it down into the water. But that would be a really good option. So I might do that. Yeah. So I've used my metal snips to cut off the end. And so now I can put this in here. I was gonna say I could put it in there like that and it would hold it up out of the water, but now I've lost that side, so it's now done. So what if I did this? All right, so what I've done is I've just used the other end of this to lift it up out of the water a little bit. So now I can put my mat across here and the mat can go down the side into the water. But actually that's lower to the water than I really want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this other end off and I'm just going to use this as a bridge. We'll see how that works. So I'm going to try to use this upside down like that. Oh, that's great. So now I have room on both ends for the capillary mat. It really only needs to go down onto one end. So there we go. And it's bowing a little bit like that in the middle, so maybe I'll put this under here. Hey, that's great. Using what you have, it's genius, yay. I was in the garage looking for things to use for this project and I found this roll of hardware cloth. And I think this might be a really great thing to use as the flat support underneath the capillary mat. So I'm going to cut a piece of this off and see if that works. All right, I need to see how big to make it. Okay, so I have a flat piece of hardware cloth here that's the size of the top of my container. Now I need something underneath it to hold it up out of the water. I'm going to try using these planter pot legs. They're little round discs, like coasters for your potted plants. So if I put 2 of those down in there and then I put this on top, yeah, that would work to hold this tray up out of the water. So that's one solution. Pretty good. I found this big piece of styrofoam in my basement so I could make a little bridge of styrofoam pieces. Like that. Like that, so that would work. The great thing about this project, doing it yourself, is you don't have to be stuck to using official planter containers. You can use any sort of shallow bowl or container that you have, like this pizza pan, or this casserole, or these disposable pans, or this cake carrier, or even this turkey roaster. And bonus, this one comes with its own capillary mat rack. The point is, you can use any tray that's shallow and that holds water to set up your self-watering system. All you need is something that holds water, something that keeps the mat up out of the water. You need that capillary mat, and then you're ready to put your seeds right on top and grow them. So let me talk about putting the mat into the tray. My capillary mat is the same width as the length of my tray. So it fits actually very, very nicely right there inside my tray. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave it the same length, but I'm going to make it a little bit wider than this tray so that it dips down into the water on one side. The next step is to get this wet and fill this with water. I really like this setup with the baker's rack and the styrofoam to fill out the end. I really feel like this is a lot more flat and stable than the hardware cloth version. But if you didn't happen to have these baker's racks, the hardware cloth would work really well too. You could also use other things. Just be creative, look around your house and see what you have. It needs to be something that can withstand water, and it needs to be something that gives you a flat surface to put this mat on top of. So with that, I'm really happy to say that I now have my own version of the self-watering kit. I do like the Gardener's Supply Company self-watering kit, and I might actually end up purchasing more of them. I have 4 of them right now. But for this year, for right now, I'm really liking this option as well. And I'm going to install a bunch of these downstairs under the seeds that I've already got started outside of the other growies things. So that's it. It was actually pretty easy. Scrounge around the house, see what you have, and see what you can do to set up your own self-watering system. All you need is this capillary mat to keep the water flowing. But other than that, I'm guessing that you could probably set yourself up with whatever you have around your house. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really glad you were here. And I hope you'll come back. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and let me know that you want to see more of my gardening adventures here at Harmony Hills. Thank you. Have a great day, friends.